Hello and welcome back. This video might not make much sense. I might not be able to express really what it is that I want to say in a manner that's going to get through to you. Not because you can't understand, but I'm not sure if my ability to express it in words is sufficient enough. So I'm gonna try anyways. The last couple of videos I had made are an attempt to have you recognize a certain part of you on the inside that's holding you back, and to try to give you a few tools that you could use to work past, or to create a little space. I used an example of creating a little space inside of you so that you can regain a little bit of discipline from your mind, and then you could use that newfound space to achieve your goals in life and to do the things that you always wanted to. And this video is going to seem a lot like a contradiction to that video, to those videos. It's to help you be aware that the voice, that little voice inside of you, the voice that will justify, the voice that will try to, how can I say this? The voice inside of you that masquerades as you, the complaining entity inside of you that's in resistance to a lot of the experiences in your life, that says there's never enough time. That voice, that inner aspect of yourself, once it feels as though it's losing and that you're gaining a little bit of discipline from it, it's going to want to come back in and masquerade now as the new you who finally has discipline in your life. The voice will constantly try to merge itself from one version of you that was complaining before, to now the new version of you that doesn't complain anymore. This inner voice, this inner aspect of yourself is a true chameleon, and it's extremely good at morphing itself from one type of personality to another type of personality. One way that you say, I have this, or I'm this and that, to all of a sudden, oh, I am free from this and that. And what I'm trying to get across to you in this video is that it's the same voice. That same aspect of you does not want to let go control. And when it feels as though it's losing control, it will come in the back door and speak to you in a manner that is conducive to the new you you're trying to create, the new you you're learning to now identify with. So this whole disassociation with the ego is a very tricky, very slippery process. I've made some other videos in the past, and I tried to explain the ego in the way that it will always speak the language in your mind that you're most dominant in your life. So the ego will always try to speak to you in words, and it'll talk to you, it makes sense and rationalize in words. And anytime that you're in that form of identifying as this is me, when you're identified with the voice in your head, the speaking using English in my case, the speaking word using entity, then that is just the ego again. Your essence, the more mature version of you is an essence that goes beyond the words. It's a part of you that can watch the words being spoken in your head. The deeper aspect of you that is not attached to the ego can see it all happening and will experience it beyond your senses. It's more of a heart connection, and the heart can speak 1,000 words in an instant and understand it in an instant, but you can't make sense of it in words. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's closer to the truth of who you are than that voice inside of you that will try to go from I don't like this in life, I want this, I don't have enough time, to all of a sudden now I can do this and I have more time now, and the chameleon, the hidden slippery snake, I called it in another video. So this is a warning. This video is a warning to anyone who's sincere about regaining their life and reclaiming themselves, reclaiming yourself from yourself. The self inside of you that speaks to you, justifies things, that needs a reason for everything, that needs to understand its world and looks for certain ways of understanding the world before it can put a problem to rest. Only the ego sees a problem, and only the ego needs a problem to be understood in order for it to be dropped. Your heart understands only one language, and that's love. It speaks this language, but the ego can block it at the gates. Or at least it feels like it can. You can become confused. So you might not listen. You might not listen anymore to the heart, because the heart is a very subtle phenomenon. The heart doesn't speak in a way that you're used to speaking, you're used to communicating. And when you're trying to learn how to connect more with your heart essence, your real you, when you're trying to get a hold of your life again, the ego is not the voice that you want to invest your time into trying to decipher or understand or pleasing. It's really good at tricking you and pretending to be you. These things are so hard to explain. If you've meditated a little bit, at least a little bit, if you have some experience meditating, you might understand really what I'm saying. And if you're trying to understand it using words you've learned, something you were taught, or a book you've read, and trying to relate what I'm saying to the mind, the word understanding you have of what I'm talking about, then you're not going to get what I'm saying. If you were to stand with a friend and not say a word and just look into each other's eyes, there's going to be a language that's communicated between the two of you there. And you could spend an enormous amount of time just trying to interpret what was said between each other through your eyes alone. There's a subtle form of communication that is communion, better known as communion, when you are expressing yourself without trying to express yourself. The body will speak a very subtle language through you, between two people, between you and a tree, between you, the world. There's a sense of communion as opposed to communication. Communication is more of a trying to understand the world, breaking it into small pieces so that your mind can understand it. And once it feels that it understands something, it puts it to rest, and it puts it into a little shelf in your brain and says, okay, now that's a tree, I know trees are green most of the time. Trees grow leaves, they need the sun, and it understands the world in that way. But in a way that the mind doesn't understand at all, you can look at a tree and you can feel its essence in a very subtle way, but that's very total to your entire being, and that is communion. So the reason I'm saying this in this video is to try to have you understand what the ego is and what you are. And at the same time, you're not these things that I'm explaining as well, but when you try to understand your world and try to reach goals in your life, if you commune with your world, if you can learn the language of the heart, you're going to go much further than you are if you try to understand your world through communication, through words, through language itself. Because your heart knows deep down inside what's best for you. And you can recognize this when you're sincere to yourself and you can drop your bullshit. When you can drop your personality, your masks. If you can, and oftentimes after a good cry, sometimes you'll get this, your essence will shine through for a moment. And you might get the same feeling when you look at a rainbow or the sunset. In these quick moments, there's an aspect of you that can shine through a heartfelt communication, a heartfelt communion with you in existence. And this communion with existence will bring you much further, because it has a quality of looking past what your mind needs in order for you to achieve the goals you want in your life. It's more direct. It's not as immature. It's beyond your likes and your dislikes. I'm feeling really lost for words. These types of videos are really hard to understand, and they're really hard to communicate. And it feels as though, how can this, help me? How can this help me, become rich or whatever? How could I want a new house, a new car, I want a family. This might be the things your mind is trying to tell you that you want. But what I'm trying to tell you is there's something that your heart knows that's best for you, that's not what your mind thinks it is. And when you're always trying to listen to what your mind is telling you want, you're never going to really feel fulfilled in your life. And that's what this video is about, is to help you find a deeper sense of fulfillment. It's to help you find a deeper sense of meaning in your life, so that you're not using these tricks I've given you these tips in the last couple of videos to fulfill your ego's desires, but instead to fulfill your deeper heart essence, so that you feel nourished in this existence here, that you can leave the earth when you're done feeling as though you have accomplished a lot in your life and you can let go. So I'm going to leave the video there. I don't know what else I could really say to further or better communicate what I'm trying to in this video. So wherever you are around the world, whatever time it is that you're watching this video, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Peace.